So on a fun day, I have to go get a sty removed from my eye. So if you guys don't know what that is, it's like a pimple in your eyelid that gets like inflamed and it gets really big. And then it kind of, this one just got hard and just stayed there. So I don't know if you can see, but there's like kind of a bump in there. So I have to go and they're gonna literally flip my eyelid open and cut it out. So I'm not super stoked about that. I don't know if they're gonna give me an eye patch like last time, because I definitely had this done before. It happens sometimes. It's genetic. My mom gets them a lot. I just want to be back in bed. Can we just talk about this for a minute? This hurt. I've had a sty removed before, or a chalazion, or whatever you want to call it, but this was a little bit different. Same tools, a different experience. So basically I went there. I stepped in a puddle. My shoe was soaking wet and cold. They like checked my eyes and dilated my pupils, so everything was really bright and blurry. And then I had to sit in the waiting room for like forever. And then they took me into the room, and the lady was like super nice, and she was like, "Oh yeah, you're doing good." She's like checking my eyes. She's like, "You're doing such a good job." And I was like, "So I've had this done before. Is it basically the same thing? Like you cut it out and then you like scrape it out?" And then she was like, "Oh yeah, you've had this done before." Like, yeah, it's the same thing. She's like, "The only part that's gonna hurt is the part where we numb your eyelid." So they like inject your eyelid with a needle, which does hurt, but like I've had needles before. I have needles, like I have blood taken all the time for my thyroid, and like I've had IMS. Like I'm no stranger to needles, not a problem. Didn't hurt that much, and then she's like, "Okay, and now we're injecting the numbing," and that hurt like a bitch. Thankfully, it lasted not too long, and then she was like, "Okay, um, everything else will just be like mild pressure, like nothing else will hurt." And that was a lie. She normally, like when you go to the dentist or something and they numb you, they wait for like a few minutes until you're actually numb. I kid you not, 2 seconds later, after stabbing my eye with a needle, she grabs the metal clamp and flips my eyelid inside out, which hurt like a bitch. She was just like, "Oh yeah, this isn't gonna hurt, just mild pressure." And I was like, ow. And then like immediately starts like cutting into my eyelid, and I could basically feel everything, and she knew that I was in pain because I was like wincing and like clenching my fists. I was like, she's like, "You're doing good, you're doing good." And I was like, "Okay, if by doing good you mean I'm not flailing madly while you've got a knife in my eye, yes, then I'm doing good." But it hurt. And then finally, when it was done, I had the pad on my eye, and it was like bleeding everywhere. And I can still feel where they injected the numbing. Like I don't think that it did anything. The My eye was bleeding a lot right afterwards. So I feel like any numbing that they did put in would have bled out, but I don't know. This was not the same experience as before. The last time I did it, they numbed my eye, they waited, and then they like carefully like did everything, and I didn't feel anything. And this time I felt everything. Like there was no purpose. Even walking home, like I would have thought that maybe the numbing would set in after I left, but it didn't. Like I can still feel where the needle went in my eye, so the whole numbing thing just seems like an unnecessary step that just was more pain than it needed to be. So anyhow, I had to walk home with one eye, which was surprisingly difficult. You don't realize how hard not having depth perception is until you don't have it anymore. And so I was trying to navigate the streets of Vancouver and the SkyTrain and the transit system with no depth perception, and it was truly bizarre, and I felt like I was gonna walk into everything. I'm home and I'm gonna take a nap because I'm in pain. Not like a lot of pain, but it's just like uncomfortable. It's kind of sore. Hope you guys appreciate that I filmed it because it wasn't the most enjoyable experience. Guess I'll see my eye when I take the patch off. I'm an idiot. I just posted my eye patch on my Instagram story, and I didn't think anything of it, and I had a nap, and I woke up and my inbox was like flooded, and I think people thought I like lost my eye or something, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm sorry guys, I'm okay. I did not lose my eye." Oh Jesus, what kind of tape is this?
It's like a pore strip. Ugh. Ooh. It's like twitching. That looks awful. Ew.